It may sound weird to the viewers, but we're going to start talking about birds. So the local eyewitness reports in your part of West Virginia, they many people have this crazy experience with large birds, with just they would encircle the buildings or the houses. I'm just going to read some of the accounts which I wrote down so I wouldn't forget them. They mention usually owls and crows. They say that they can be huge as a big man or as a car. One person, actually the new owner of this house where Heather used to live, he said there were about 75 crows flying around their house, and even you witnessed seeing maybe even 100 of vultures circling together. Now, you probably don't know this, but I had a few weeks ago a book author, a Christian book author, who has been, well, if I can say unwillingly, being involved in this ministry of deliverance altogether with his wife. He heard so many stories and he witnessed so many things because of being involved in this ministry. He told me that usually there is something about when it comes to, if I can say, evil presence, even animals can be attracted to that. Now, we know from movies, from novels, of course it's fiction, but there's some truth in that. Also in his experience, there will be either a certain type of birds or cockroaches. If there's a spiritual infestation of a certain land or part of the land, the region, there'll be also certain type of animals that are drawn to that particular area. And you also witnessed that once when you start investigating this whole thing, you witnessed just an unusual number of birds like circling around you guys. So what's up with that?
Yeah. So the first night when we got there, actually, before we started shooting, we were staying in a town called Cross Lanes in West Virginia. And my wife and I had run to the grocery store and just looking up, noticed there were a massive number of vultures. Turkey vultures is what we call them in West Virginia. I don't know that that's the real name, but yeah, like a huge number of them. And I have cell phone video at the time. I stuck out the window and just because I couldn't believe, and I had no idea, no reference for why this would mean anything. It seemed weird. And so I, shot video of it with the cell phone. And then that flock or herd stayed there for several days. At one point I had got to the point where I took the drone up. And I think I took the drone up after we had discovered sort of a series of synchronicities with Psalm 91 and this Lilith character archetype from scripture. It took the drone up and into or as close as I could get to it. And at that point it had diminished somewhat, but there were still a lot of vultures. And I'd asked several people around town there if they had ever seen that before. I didn't remember it from growing up in the area, but everyone said that it was weird. They had not remembered it. So yeah, there was that. And then we came to find out toward the middle of the week, it turned up that there was this strange series of synchronicities around Psalm 91. And Psalm 91 is an exorcistic psalm. And the reason we know that is because it was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls among several other exorcist texts. So we know that at least the folks who assembled the Dead Sea Scrolls and preserved them were using it in that fashion. There's a reference in Psalm 91 to the terror of the night. And depending on your translation, it's sometimes rendered screech owl or the owl of the night or the bird of the night. And that is, we're convinced, and several Hebrew scholars, it's not just we decided this was true. That's an idiomatic Hebrew reference to Lilith or Lilith, which is this archetype demonic entity that's first occurs in literature in the Epic of Gilgamesh. But she's named, or this type of thing is named in scripture in Isaiah 34. And one of the, Isaiah 34, it's 14 and 15. 14, if you're reading in the ESV, it says night bird, but it's literally the word Lilith, Lilit. And this is a passage about God condemning this nation. He's going to make it a dwelling place for all these demonic creatures. And the Lilith, or the Lilith, is one of these creatures. And one of the things that accompanies it in those passages is the owl. And another thing is the vulture, or the hawk. And not just one, but it says every vulture has its mate in that passage. So it came to be, and Kristen, if you watch the series, it's like 5 hours of material, so it's hard to condense all of it. But there's also, Kristen had a number of strange experiences with owls in her family, with owls. And this giant bird archetype. So several of them had experiences with what's referred to in cryptozoology circles as the thunderbird, a giant bird. Most people describe it appearing as like an Andean condor, but bigger, like the size of a plane. And so all of those things together became kind of an integral pattern of phenomena we were seeing even in real time, stories we were hearing that were consistent with what we were experiencing from her family and also from people like at the house, that all sort of revolved around that carrion-eating bird or owl motif. And particularly given the fact that she worshipped by name Lilith, which is sort of the modernized, sexed up Wiccan version of the Lilith of old, it becomes an interesting pattern. Now, whether or not, again, the things on the other side, they behave in ways that are deceptive. So maybe it's hard to say that there is a spiritual being, a Lilith on the other side that is manifesting that way. It could be anything on the other side behaving according to that archetype, possibly to attract that kind of worship. It's hard to know, but it became a pretty compelling pattern anyway.